Gather round, boys and girls. It's story time. There used to be a day where things like honor meant something. I could go around, make a video, and there would be people out there that could disagree with every single thing that I had to say. They could consider me a rude, abrasive, offensive, intolerant asshole. But one thing that they never did, they never thought that I was the lowest of the low. For one very good reason. I never cheat. I have my scruples, my morals, my code of ethics. There were lines that I would never and have never crossed. There used to be a day where the weapon of choice was words. We didn't flag, we didn't dox, we didn't hack, we didn't involve people's employers. Back then, killing a channel meant something. It meant that you called someone out on their bullshit so hard and so often that they got so embarrassed that they closed up shop and ran away. We saw bullshit and we smacked it down, either with sound, logical argumentation or a litany of hilarious jokes, or a combination of both. And this was back in the Wild West days. This was a time of lawlessness, a time of chaos, and yet times were good. Now, of course, there were some faggots back then running around striking out channels. But even these people knew that they would never be taken seriously as speakers, or even as watchers. They knew that they would never be taken seriously. They knew that they would never be treated with any amount of dignity or respect. They knew that the only people that were lower than them were the people posting animal abuse and child pornography. They knew that they were almost as low as it gets. They knew that they were scum. So what changed? Social justice happened. That's what changed. And these people, they need to give it up. They might be on their high horse right now, but they have nowhere to go but down. And do you know why? Because they are bad people. They don't know the first thing about duty or honor or friendship. They're just cold-hearted, man-hating bitches. And the really disturbing thing about all this is that the shit that Hitler said about the Jews applies to them. They'll move into your communities, they'll establish their little groups, and day by day they'll destroy the entire fucking place. What is the end goal for these people? Obviously, they want to eliminate the entire concept of personal responsibility. Now, this might not seem so obvious at first, but run with me on this, all right? Let's take a look at the whole concept of the safe space. They barge their way into online communities like what happened in Reddit. They erect their safe spaces. And they do this because it is a lot easier to ban certain thoughts, speech, and opinions outright than it is to take personal responsibility and shield themselves from such content. It's also a lot easier to have completely fucking backwards fucking ideals in a safe space because it's a lot easier this way because they don't have to defend their bullshit because, God forbid, a dissenting opinion enters the sacred safe space. And we can apply the same reasoning to the recently exposed cabal of doxing social justice warriors. Not a single one of them have stepped forward and claimed responsibility for the doxing and hacking that they did. Why is this? Could it be that they know what they did was objectively wrong and morally reprehensible, and that they're desperately running from facing up to their responsibilities, the responsibilities of their actions. And even if she had nothing to do with it, this is the sort of thing that Jenny McDermott should be jumping up and down on and claiming responsibility. Because on YouTube, a target is every bit as good as a spotlight for an attention whore. And that's not an offensive thing to say because it's technically what she is. Years ago, there was a user who had published some extremely personal videos to his channel and had eventually taken them down. And then, sometime later, a channel came up that he had no control over, republishing those same videos. And he sent me a text asking me if I had anything to do with this channel. And I told him, come on, you know me. I know that we hate each other, but you know that if I'm going to go to all that trouble, I'm going to make sure that you knew that I did it. But now we have an entirely new class of speaker. Now we have a group of people that publicly speak out against the shameless silencing tactics. And yet, behind closed doors, as it were, these are the same people banding together into little cabals and actively conspiring to do the same damn things that publicly they oppose. And they have to do this because the points that they make are triple distilled bullshit. And it doesn't matter how many doctorates in government they hold, they will never be able to back their bullshit up with anything other than debunked studies and cherry-picked statistics. And because altogether they have the stage presence of a partially eaten cucumber sandwich, they're not even that entertaining to watch. The whole of their audience are people like me looking for ammunition and punching bags. And then we have the idiots with zero critical thinking ability, and the misfits that are tired of being mocked because of their sexually deviant lifestyle, Gussie jives. So why make this video, Aldus? I hear you cry. Well, one, I don't see how you have any control over my content anyway. And two, the point of this presentation is that these are people that have already been doxxed. Their information is already out there. And one of them, at least one of them, seems, at least on the surface, terrified of this prospect. And yet, in spite of all of this, they still band together into secret cabals and actively work together and conspire to dox and false flag and silence their opponents. So why am I not worried about being doxxed? Well, it's because over the years, I lost count of how many times I've doxed myself. It takes that power away. And, in all that time, address and phone number. And in all that time, in 6 years, I've gotten one random YouTuber phone call, and that was from somebody who was actually a friend. There has never once been any weirdo showing up at the front gate of my compound. But, if that ever happens, I'm ready for that eventuality. But the thing is that eventually these people are going to dox somebody whose anonymity is literally all that they have to lose. But they have not learned their lesson. They refuse to learn. Maybe they just haven't been properly motivated. Clearly, they haven't enjoyed the full doxing experience. But you don't got to worry about me. I wouldn't just show up at your house and murder you in cold blood. Where's the poetry in that? I feel like a mob boss.